It's that time of week again. Week 7 is coming up, but first we gotta go over week 6. And when coming up with the idea for this video, I had to ask myself, well, how much is too much information? How many stats should I put in? How many games should I talk about in depth? And at the end of the day, I have absolutely no idea, and I'm just throwing stuff at a wall and hoping it sticks. Starting off in London, and I know the Eagles played Thursday night, but I'd like to forget that game because it was bad. People are calling for Kevin Patullo to get fired. But in Denver, the Broncos had an ugly win to an 0-5 Jets. And you're wondering to yourself, how could the score be 13-11? Well, the Denver Broncos left their offense in the United States that day. But if it wasn't for Nick Bonito, and if it wasn't for that defensive line, and a few bad calls, especially a fake punt, and then running out the clock, well, it could have been a different game, and the Jets could have been 1-5 instead of 0-6. The bad of that game, well, I already said it, the fake punt, and then going into halftime without doing anything with said fake punt. And the ugly, Justin Fields in the pocket, missing throws, getting sacked to an oblivion, and just overall inefficient. They did try to run the ball with Justin Fields, which is his strong suit, but I think the Jets are cooked, and look for Aaron Glenn to be looking for a defensive coordinator job next year. But moving on to a standout performance, Rico Dowdle from the Carolina Panthers of all teams. Just when you thought they were cooked, they go and they win 2 straight. He gashed the Cowboys like it was the Wild West again for 183 yards rushing, 58 yards receiving, and a receiving touchdown. This guy has over 400 scrimmage yards in the last 2 weeks. And you've got to wonder, is this the start of something new in Carolina, or is this just fool's gold? Because if it's the start of something, they can make the wild card. I mean, the NFC isn't doing that great right now. No team is safe right now. But moving on to the other standout performance, despite the loss, getting the Barry Sanders Award, where you're part of the most dysfunctional one of the most dysfunctional franchises in the NFL. Devon Achane, 8 yards per carry, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns despite the loss. His team lacks leadership, according to Tua Tagovailoa.
We have guys showing up to player-only meetings late, guys not showing up to player-only meetings. Like, there's a lot that goes into that.
And it's hard to argue when your quarterback does throw 3 interceptions to 1 touchdown. Mike McDaniel and his capri pants hasn't offered much in the way of coaching, and it looks like he's going to be on the outs very, very soon. Baker Mayfield, the castaway from Cleveland, has played like an MVP. The guy had a 73.9% completion, 73.9 completion percentage, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, a makeshift offensive line missing 2 and now 3 receivers with Emeka Egbubu out.
Prince Abubu. Emeka Egbubu.
For an extended period of time. But it can't get uglier than the 49ers turning Santa Clara into the hospital wing for the 49ers. They have had injury casualty after injury casualty, and Fred Warner will be out for the season with a dislocated ankle. Is it a problem with working the players too hard during practice? Is there something in the water that disintegrates their bones in Santa Clara? I don't know, but the EPA should look into that. And as for my ice cold play of the week, that dime to Tez Johnson from Baker Mayfield for 45 yards. The ball was a little overthrown, but Tez Johnson has enough speed to corral that in between 2 defenders and run that thing into a touchdown. And speaking of ice cold, the Seattle Seahawks on the road have won 9 games in a row. They shut down the Jaguars, not allowing any turnovers for the first time this season. Jaguars didn't get any turnovers for the first time this season. They sacked Trevor Lawrence 7 times, 2 each for Byron Murphy II and Old Man Lawrence, who's looking to turn back the clock and turn this Shady Shoals retirement home into a Super Bowl contender. I think they can do it. And standout performance of that game, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Sam Darnold. And Jigba had 162 yards, 696 on the year. He's up there as one of the top receivers in the league. And it's not because Jacksonville played horribly. I mean, yeah, they allowed a lot of yards passing. Lawrence did have 2 touchdowns, and Brian Thomas Jr., for the most part, figured out he has hands and they are paid to catch the ball. He had 8 receptions and a receiving touchdown. They just didn't win the game. And in our next game, the Green Bay Packers versus the Cincinnati Bengals, well, Joe Flacco tried to do the unthinkable and beat the Packers twice on 2 different teams. He just fell short at the end of the game, but he had 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase had 94 yards and a touchdown. The good, though, Josh Jacobs was rumbling, stumbling, bumbling for 2 scores. The bad, though, Lucas Van Ness was carted off the field, suffering a foot injury. The ugly in this game, well, the Cincinnati Bengals hopes for a playoff berth. They just haven't done what they were supposed to do. They won 2 straight to open the season. Jake Browning has played like doo-doo, and Joe Flacco didn't offer much in relief of Jake Browning. Now we're questioning whether Joe Burrow is going to come back this year. Speaking of the Miami Dolphins, they played the Los Angeles Chargers, where Kimani Vidal had 124 yards rushing, taking over duties from Omarion Hampton, who's injured, and Najee Harris, who is injured for the season. Justin Herbert, with the makeshift offensive line, had 264 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a great performance. Stock climbing, though. Drake May on the New England Patriots, 10 touchdowns, including 3 against the New Orleans Saints. And I know it's the New Orleans Saints who tried their hardest to be a winning football team. They're trying. You know, they're not the best team. They're feisty. I think they can beat a team that's not looking at them seriously, but Drake May has shown he is probably the best quarterback in that draft class from last year going into this week. This week versus the Titans is going to be a bloodbath because Mike Vrabel, we know he's going in after being ousted by the lowly Tennessee Titans, and he's going to drop about 40 points in my opinion. That Titans team is bad, but we'll get to them later. In the game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Cardinals, the good, Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor continue to make this team hum. They combined for 31 points. Jonathan Taylor continues to be the best running back in the league so far with over 100 yards, and Indiana Jones has become the model of composure, confidence, and well-timed throws. Who knew that getting out of a dysfunctional franchise could do that for you? The bad, the Cardinals' running game after losing James Conner and Benson. And even DeMarco only had 1 carry for 1 yard after being chewed out by Jonathan Gannon. It could be the end for Kyler Murray. It could be the end for Gannon this year. And then the Cardinals get another regime change. And the more things change, the more things stay the same. And the Cardinals will be bad for another, 5-10 years again. The ugly, Marvin Harrison goes down with a concussion. You never want to see that for a young player. You don't want to see that for anyone because, you know, brain injuries and so on and so forth. We've seen a lot of those coming into play, especially in recent years. The good, on Monday night, the Bills and the Falcons, Bijan Robinson's 80-yard touchdown to the house. The bad, Buffalo's defense, who allowed that 80-yard touchdown, and Buffalo's offensive line, who allowed Josh Allen to get pancaked all game like he was, well, a pancake. Unfortunately for the Buffalo Bills, they look like they're just trying to tread water. They don't have a run defense. They barely have an offensive line. They don't have the weapons to compete on the receiving side of things. And if they don't get it together, if they don't make a trade, I think they're going to be in big trouble when it comes to the New England Patriots, who beat them earlier on in the season, last week, whatever. Stafford, the good, escapes a win against Cooper Rush and the Baltimore Ravens, who look like their season is done after this week. No matter if Lamar Jackson comes back or not. The bad, Puka Nacua got injured, and the ugly, well, it's time to pack your bags and plan for Cancun, because the Baltimore Ravens playoffs hope are cooked like a savory salmon on a grill with light salt and pepper and some delicious lemon. Oh, so delicious. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Which way you want to place these on the list, the Chiefs and the Lions. Patrick Mahomes throws 4 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. Is it good? Is it bad or ugly? I'm going to let you decide. Brian Branch hitting Juju Smith-Schuster. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? I'm going to let you decide. And finally, the poor Lions not getting one positive call from the referees, who... I don't want to say that joke. It's probably not appropriate for YouTube, so we'll move on. Jared Goff, you did your best. You had 2 touchdowns. One was called back when you tried a receiving touchdown. Unfortunately, just didn't happen. Injuries to the Lions have been bad, especially in the secondary. Denver's defense, a big shout out for harassing Justin Fields like a Deshaun Watson would harass someone. Kyren Williams had a big play this week. Got to shout him out. The glute scoot boogie, when he caught the ball and landed on his gluteus maximus, sliding out of bounds. All you got to do is get your tush in, and you win. Pickens, not only a headache on your own team, but also a headache for opposing players. The guy gashed the Carolina Panthers offense. Dak Prescott looked good. The only problem is they don't have a defense to speak of. And we're going to start with the not so top 10. Maybe I'll come up with a better name, but that's what it's called for now. The Titans offensive line doing their best impression of Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks, saying, "Just take the sack, just take the sack, just take it." Yes, Cam Ward was licked. He was dropped. He was harassed. He was crumpled up like paper mache. And the poor guy leads the league in sacks like he's David Carr on the 2002 Houston Texans. I fear for his life. But on the positive side, we'll get to it later. Number 2, the New York Jets running a fake punt and forgetting that they should run a play after to try and get some points and maybe try to win the game instead of trying to tank. At number 3, we got Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. He threw for 3 touchdowns, only for his defense to allow 30 points to the Panthers. Are the Panthers good? Are the Panthers bad? They've won 2 straight, but I don't know what they are. All we know is that Dallas's defense is the equivalent of Swiss cheese that you've left outside way too long. It's the moldy cheese from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And at number 4, Geno Smith, playing like he's a statue in the backfield of the Raiders' offensive line. Like, that defense is really good, but when you can't blow out a team like the Tennessee Titans, there's a lot of trouble. And Geno Smith was doing his best impression of a bad quarterback last game. At number 5, the Bengals, thinking paying Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase was going to solve all your offensive and defensive problems. You need an offensive line to protect the guy, you need a running game to get the passing game going, and you need a defense to maybe stop some points from being scored against your team. But paying 3 skill position players is good too, I guess. At number 6, the Baltimore Ravens for squandering the prime of Lamar Jackson with this dreck of a performance. And I know Derrick Henry had some costly fumbles, but golly, that defense is struggling. They're struggling with injuries. They're struggling with inconsistency. I don't know what they're going to do next year, but there might be a lot of changes. At number 7, the Cleveland Browns for casting away the only franchise quarterback they've had in 26 years for a sex pest who rarely plays the game. That guy goes on to be MVP this year. You're going to have a lot of egg in your face. And number 8, Arizona for giving their fans hope after going 2-0 only to drop 4 straight. I feel bad for you Arizona fans. Long gone are the days of Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner and Anquan Bolden. And now you got Kyler Murray, who's up and down, and, well, Jonathan Gannon, who's yelling at players at the sideline for dropping balls at the 1-yard line. At number 9, the Miami Dolphins, who haven't won a playoff game since the year 2000, and that's going to continue into 2026. I mean, Mike McDaniel ain't helping. He's going to be fired pretty soon. They did not build an offense that's built for cold weather. They put players together that don't belong together. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, both the same kind of player stretching the field, but there's no big-bodied receiver. There's no running back that can run with authority. Achan's great. You're squandering him. We'll see what they do next year. Number 10, and this one might be a good top 10 for most Tennessee Titans fans. Brian Callahan being one of the worst coaches in Tennessee Titans history, that he went on to get himself fired after yesterday's 20-10 loss. And I say to you Tennessee Titans, rejoice like it's 1999. If you like Prince, you know where that's from. But finally, we get to our final game, the Bears and the Washington Commanders. 3 straight wins for the Bears after a Jake Moody field goal after he was cast away by the 49ers. Maybe a change of scenery is good enough to get you going. Well, he did have a kick block, but they won the game. The bad? Commanders in their turnovers. They had 3, and the Bears capitalized on them, scoring 3 times. And let's shout out that offensive line who opened up holes for DeAndre Swift, who looked like an all-pro running back behind that offensive line. 108 yards. Caleb Williams, over 250 yards and 2 scores. And they won the game. They're the winner of 3 straight. You got to hand it to Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears because nobody expected them to do anything at all. And that, my friends, is the weekly recap. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. If you don't like what you see, like and subscribe. And I'll see you for Power Rankings very soon. Adios.